te rohe nei ko te arawa, ana ka tūtaki tāo mo te wā tuatahi, nā reira me mihi tātou tāua kia tāua. Nā reira tuatahi kia mōhio koe ko waia hau, me tīmata e mihi ana ki te wāhi nei. Nā reira ko ngongo taha te maunga, ko te Rotorua nui a kahumata momoe te moana, ko Ngāti Whakau e te iwi, ko Ngāti Te Roro te rangi te hapu. Yeah, a few years ago I had a stroke, and when I came out of the hospital, one of the first things my mother said to me was, "Stroke saved you. You were too busy getting involved in everything." I'm doing study. Where we are filming is in Rotorua. I've got two daughters and their families, but I live in Maketu, which is about 50 kilometres from here. I used to work, but the stroke stopped that. So 2009 to 2012, I got my first job after I had a stroke. The proof in the pudding when to give that job away was when I got to the office. Well, I couldn't remember the keys because there were alarms on everything, and you had a code to get through, and I just couldn't remember the keys. So I had to wait for everybody to come to work before I could get up to the office, and then when I got in there, I turned on the computer and I'd forgotten my codes. I didn't realise the depth and the breadth of the effects of that stroke. Just piece by piece, as I started getting stronger and getting involved in things, then I thought about study, using my brain. Beginning of this year, I graduated with a Master's, Master of Indigenous Studies. Now I'm doing a doctorate study, which is in the same field. It's to do with stroke and the effects that it had with Māori. So then we thought, okay, well let's start a Māori stroke group. We started to do our own little research, finding out whether any other had stroke, and very quickly our stroke group started moving around the lake from one marae to the next to the next. The Masters was whānau from Maketu, Rotorua and Taupo. And so we had 9 whānau involved, 9 families. The 9 of us, we all had ischemic, I think it is pronounced, which is a block. So the blood from the heart to the brain is blocked, usually with a clot, so it's a blood clot, and basically that part of the brain dies, wherever it is. Between the 9 of us, it all stopped in different parts of the brain, so each of us had a totally different set of consequences of it. But the majority of us, out of those 9, we were all fit and didn't smoke, little bit of alcohol, but nothing to get us into trouble with. Yeah, and we were all gym rats. We were all active in gym. One of ours was actually preparing to compete for the New York Marathon, and just dropped like a rock, making a cup of tea for her and her husband. So the 2 youngest ones were both in their 30s. One was actually playing rugby for one of the clubs here. Big fit boy, slim as, still is, and unbelievable that he got hit. Unbelievable. And then, so we had 2 in 30s, 3 in 40, 3 in their 40s, 1 in the 50, 2 in 60s, and 1 in 70. All were fit. When you're hit by a stroke and you go to the hospital, so you have all the services there, but eventually you have to go home. And it just, every one of our families went through a whole lot of roller coaster ride of how they're going to try and cope with everything, including, like with my particular family, because my house is, Rotorua Hospital is on the top of a hill not very far from here, and my house is right below it. So I was out of the hospital in 4 days. So the day I had it, the next day I was up and walking around. I couldn't talk, I didn't know who I was, and I couldn't do a lot of things, but what I could do was move. When I got home, my wife, of course, she took leave so that she could care for me. My wife and I had decided to buy houses for our daughters, and we used our house as we as the guarantors for our children to have their own houses. And anyway, I'm still not quite sure how I got talked into it. But man, over these last 10 years, I keep thinking, wow, isn't it amazing? Because I've met a lot of people, you know, who've had stroke, and I'm one of the rare few that did. In fact, out of those 9, there were 2 of us that I know who had income insurance. And what that did, the protection for us, what that gave us was the time to think and to not just run. The 2 of us, we both tried to go back to work. It wasn't until we got there then we found out how terrible the effects of the stroke were. And so, yeah, so I think it was around 2008 when the insurance kicked in. So that's it's 2015 now. So that's 7 years, 7-8 years. 1 year at the full rate. That was in 2008. Then 2009 was when I got my job up in Auckland, which went for 4 years. And what they did was they added the income that I was earning, they topped it up to the income that I was earning when I had the stroke. And so, yeah, and so Astron has been our company since 2007, I think it was, 2008, and it's been excellent. Every month I give them a report. I go to the doctor every month, but thank goodness Astron is still, providing for me. Yes, that's great.